You're watching News 24 Live. Welcome to the second episode of our Rugby World Cup show, where we will be bringing you the latest news, reviews and analysis from the tournament. I've got editor Garen Lamley from Sport 24 and chief rugby writer Rob Howing in studio this morning to give us one final post-mortem of Japan's shock victory over the Springboks from the weekend. And we're also going to look at a couple of the other big games. Gents, good morning, and I hope we're feeling strong and have recovered from what has really, I guess, shocked to the nation. Rob, I'm going to start with you. In all your years of watching and analysing and writing about rugby, have you ever seen anything like what we witnessed at the Brighton Community Stadium on Saturday?
No, the answer in short is definitely no. I was actually racking my brains last night, and in my sort of entire, sadly fairly lengthy sports journalism career, I don't think I can recall sort of, being involved in writing about a more an absolute bolt from the blue, a result that you just did not see coming. I mean, I remember at half time, I think most of us would have thought, boy, the Boks are only leading, what was it, 12-10? I thought, isn't that a disgrace, surely they're going to pull away. Surely they're going to do something in the second half or the final quarter or something. And instead, all that happened was the Japanese just got stronger and stronger in spirit, in body, everything. And of course, cashed in royally on the fact that sadly South Africa went in with far too many players who were not able to respond to a crisis simply because they were not sharp enough. It was a massive botching of what was supposed to be a routine job by South Africa, and now the cat's really among the pigeons in that pool. I was saying to my colleagues this morning, it almost has become a pool of death. And who thought that the Springbok pool was going to be a pool of death? Because we were supposed to waltz through it. Frankly, I think we'll still get through. I think whether it's in first or second position, South Africa should be quarterfinalists. Let's all put that in our minds. Should still be quarterfinalists. But lots of issues to deal with now. I mean, that was a absolute just an absolute jaw dropper.
Garen, all credit to Japan though, and obviously the Boks, despite internal coaching issues that they ever might have, they definitely underestimated the Japanese. And I mean, if we kind of put it into perspective, they've got a great club system. Half of the world's best players play over there, including some of our own. So they've obviously learned a thing or two. They've also got the Eddie Jones factor, who obviously assisted the Boks in winning the 2007 World Cup. So he knows a thing or two about the Springboks game plan, which I get the feeling is not that difficult to work out.
Yeah, it's fairly predictable. Yeah, there's a lot to be said. I mean, we had Farid Priyo, who obviously plays rugby in Japan, saying he did warn his teammates about this match. Eddie Jones has been sort of building for this match for 4 years now. He's leaving his Japan job after the World Cup, so it's all on the line for him. Yeah, we hadn't played rugby for a number of weeks now. It looked like we were a bit rusty in certain positions. A couple of the players hadn't played rugby in months and months. I'm thinking like Jean de Villiers and Farid Priyo, rugby at that highest level. It's easy to say that we underestimated them. Hanneke May does talk up every single team we ever play as having great structures and having formidable players. So it's difficult to believe that we totally underestimated them. We did start with, on paper, one of the easier matches in our pool. Obviously now, as Rob says, every match is sort of like a must-win situation, and we've got far tougher assignments coming up against Samoa and Scotland. Who based on the Japan result, unless we improve markedly, we might come short again, and that'll be a disaster for our quarterfinal aspirations. So lots of talking points out of the game. Eddie Jones, did he just out-coach Hanneke May? Was it a case of Hanneke May putting too much stock in these experienced players that hadn't played much rugby? We were going on and on about 880 test caps, the most experienced test cap team ever. The fact that the previous one lost as well, the fact that having all these caps just means you pretty much old and coming towards the end of your career, and you don't get better for every single test you play. You get to sort of a point where you're now nearing the end of your career rather than the beginning. So a lot of players didn't put their hands up. As Hanneke said, they'll have to take a close look at themselves. I thought Jean de Villiers again didn't have a great game. I thought Victor Matfield was pretty quiet. The front row didn't really stand up. We did a couple of good rolling mauls where it looked fairly easy to score tries, but we only really attempted them twice and we scored twice. We didn't do it again. The scrums, I think we had our first put-in the 70th minute or something. I've never seen anything like that. So there were a lot of question marks. The matches done and dusted. It's now a case of really looking forward to Samoa. And, Samoa, for their part, they did the job this weekend as well against the USA. They won there. So, their tails were up. They've got some massive backline players. I think we're going to be fairly intimidated. I think we came through fairly unscathed in this match, and there's talk that Dwayne Vermeulen will be back for the next match. But, he's also hasn't played rugby in so long. I would be shocked if he plays a full 80 minutes. And, he can pick up another niggle as well. So, a bit of fairly worrying times for me, after the first weekend.